From the Watchbox Studios, this is On Point on Watchbox with Cynthia Hardy.
Good morning and welcome to On Point on Watchbox. It's truly a pleasure to bring you the show each and every week, and we hope that you'll take the opportunity to tune into the radio show On Point with Cynthia Hardy, heard every Sunday evening, 6 p.m. on 101.3 The Big DM. Today on Point on Watch, teen employment in South Carolina. While overall unemployment is going down in the state, teen unemployment continues to rise. According to the Employment Policies Institute, South Carolina ranks second in the nation for teen unemployment at 31%. The national average is 25%. Analysts say summer employment has more competition, with adults looking for jobs in the tough economy, meaning less opportunity for high school and college students. So what help is out there, and what are the community benefits of young people in the workforce? So we're delighted to be able to talk today about teen employment in South Carolina. I'm seated with Brian McConkey, my favorite Watchbox News anchor.
Always too kind to me.
Very, very happy to have you. You contribute so much to our conversations, and we're just delighted that you're able to join us for the show again today. And it's important that we take a look at what's happening in our state.
Absolutely.
Because a number of us were surprised to know that we're second in the nation when it comes to unemployment and young people.
Yes, and the number is quite high.
Yes.
Very high. We're 6 percentage points over the national average, in fact. And we were number one for quite a while in just overall unemployment, which is improving. So it is sad to hear that our young people in that teenage range aren't doing maybe as well as some other folks who are getting back to work.
And I'm sure parents are just as disappointed as the kids
Absolutely they are.
because they look forward to young people not just
I
having
always
the
had a job in the
opportunity.
summer.
Did you?
Yeah, but they were easier to get then.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And there were probably some jobs some teens I know wouldn't want to have. Like hauling lumber around and doing masonry work. Yeah, it wasn't the most fun thing in the world, but it teaches you things. So.
Well, we thought we would have the conversation today. We recognize that there are a number of things that are out there. The South Carolina Department of Employment and Workforce are out there, and they have opportunities for young people, but there are other opportunities in the marketplace as well. So what we wanted to do was to bring in our Mayor Steve Benjamin, Mayor of the City of Columbia, Mr. James T. McLawhorn, Jr., President and CEO of the Urban League here in Columbia, to talk about this important issue and to let the community know the significance of having teen employment and what happens, Mr. Mayor, when we don't have it.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm with Brian. I had a summer job every summer, either working with my dad as a contractor or working as a bus boy, or at the Children's Museum, or at a bakery. Actually, a real bakery. I mean, in the
flour and dough and
the whole not the whole Lucille Ball routine, but
close enough.
But real hard work and the opportunities to get some great experience, to develop a work ethic, and honestly to keep kids off the street in the summer. I mean, it's just so valuable to a community. So while we've seen unemployment tick down in the Midlands over the last couple of years, almost two percentage points, still having this challenge in our state with our young people is something that we all really ought to be focused on. And that's why I'm so proud of the relationship we've been able to develop with the Urban League over the last several years that focuses like a laser beam on teen employment. Recognizing that there are skill sets that our children need, our young people need if they're ever going to live up to their God-given potential, and that we can play a very creative role in making that happen. So it's an important issue to us. I think anyone who cares about the future of our kids ought to be fully invested in solutions to the problem, and that's why I'm glad to be here.
You know, Brian, you mentioned that you had a job when you were a teen, and I certainly did as well, and really looked forward to that as an opportunity. And one of the fears is if young people don't see people actually going to work and emulating that behavior themselves, it will be more difficult for them to see themselves in employment.
They'll fall into a pattern of behavior where they don't know the importance of having that solid work ethic, of going to work every day and earning some money and being proud of that money you earn and the work you're doing every day. And Mr. McLawhorn, you have some wonderful programs that help instill those values and help kids get what is valuable work and life experience.
Yes, and I want to just make an observation about the challenge that we face today with youth employment is much more difficult, and the impact is much greater than it has ever been before, because we have pockets of communities where the unemployment rate is 80 and 90%, and children don't see adults working. They don't see it at all. And what they do see, they see people coming into communities who do not work in what we call traditional kind of jobs. And as a result, they have no vision about what is available, and that means that their expectations are low. So they come out of culture or low expectations. Jobs are important. They're transforming. It is the best model, evidence-based practice model for positive youth development. I worked as a child. I worked hard. I worked in tobacco. And we were in the tobacco fields at 5 a.m. in the morning, 12, 13 years old. And that experience taught me about work. I had I just felt good. You know, you feel good when you make money. It enhances your value system. It enhances your self-esteem. It allows you to communicate effectively with people. You become more task-oriented, more focused. And so when you think about work experience, let's don't think about it as a way to provide money for young people, but more importantly than money is that it enhances self-esteem, it increases academic performance, it increases self-esteem, it more importantly, it gives you hope, and it gives you a culture of high expectations. And that's something that our young people need.
Yeah. We're going to go to break right now. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with the mayor and Mr. McLaughlin on the significance of summer employment. Stay tuned.
You're watching On Point on WatchBox with Cynthia Hardy on Columbia's own WatchBox.
Welcome back to On Point on WatchBox. Brian McConkie and I are talking to the mayor and Mr. McLaughlin from the Urban League, the president and CEO of the Urban League, about the significance of teen employment in the marketplace. And
it is a big problem. We're second in the nation in terms of the overall numbers of unemployment
and
for young
that's very
people.
discouraging, especially because our teens are used to a plethora of jobs being available in the marketplace. And for a number of teens, the reality is unless someone steps in to either sponsor them through a program like you have, Mr. McLaughlin, or some of the employers get really creative, a lot of kids won't work this summer. And one of the concerns is for a number of children in poor neighborhoods, they don't often have the opportunity to see, they don't have a legacy of employment in their environment. And for many of them, they see what we call the underground economy, hustling, as an option. And that doesn't necessarily mean hustling illegal things. It means non-conventional employment. And so what we're suggesting is that these mainstream opportunities go a long way, Mr. Mayor, into mainstreaming young people in society.
Absolutely. I mean, it'd be intellectually dishonest to suggest that that's not a reality that some young people face. And it's important for us to make sure that in addition to job opportunities, that young people have other meaningful ways to engage themselves throughout the summer. And we have a very active system in our parks and wonderful nighttime initiatives in several of our city parks to keep kids off the street on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights as well. It's so important, again, to make sure that we're investing in them on the front end so we don't have to worry about investing in young adults who've gone astray on the back end. It's a reality, and I think that's why it's so important we focus on programs like the summer work employment program that the Urban League has and other initiatives too. One thing I love about working with my deacon, J.T. McLaughlin, in the Urban League is that they identify major challenges facing the community and they focus like a laser beam on solving those problems. They're not just talking about summer work employment, they're also focusing on science, technology, engineering, and math, and how we channel our young people into jobs in the 21st century. Yeah. We have a lot of, one major challenge now is that we have jobs available right now, but we don't have the 21st century skills for those jobs right now. And that's another issue that they're focusing on so wonderfully.
You know, one of the things I want to mention, I know Mr. McLaughlin is going to address what I mentioned about the underground economy, but one of the things I do want to mention is that for folks out there watching, they have an opportunity to hire a young person by creating a job themselves for $600. An employer like me, my business, On Point Media, can sponsor a child for a month's worth of work through the Urban League for $600. 550 of those dollars go directly back into the pocket of the young person, and the Urban League gets a modest fee of $50 for coordinating the entire effort, which of course is a huge effort for people. I was teasing Mr. McLaughlin before we came on the air. You can't find a camp for $50.
No, you can't.
For a child for an entire month. And he reminded me that it's because of the support we get from businesses in the community and other supporters, which is why you're able to offer it to us this way.
Yes, you are absolutely right. From the City of Columbia, Richland County School District 1, and other supporters in the community. They have supported us for many, many years because they see the return on investment. This is the best investment we can make for our future, our young people. And I think quite often we are looking for a grant from the federal government. They aren't there anymore.
In fact, when you started this program, there was no grant.
There weren't a grant
I remember.
at all. And many communities around the country do not even have jobs, summer jobs for young people, because they're still waiting for some money from Washington. We got to do this internally. We got to provide for our young people. We have a evidence best practice model of serving young people. These young people you talk about, they work 20 hours a week, and before we send any child on a job, they go through a work orientation process where we teach them work ethics. You have to be taught about work. And we also emphasize with them the importance of making positive connection in the work environment. Everyone needs a support system. Your work environment, in many cases, is as powerful as your biological family. And that's really important. So it's a wonderful experience for our young people. We see young people who went through our program 20 years ago, and they give a testimony that my first job came through the Urban League, and they got a good foundation.
There's a lot of people out there that have applied for jobs, and without someone to sponsor them, they may not get that opportunity, because the truth of the matter is, the Urban League has 1,000 jobs. They have 2,500 applications for those jobs. And I'm sure it's the same thing down at WIA, the state-funded employment agency that is assisting young people in getting jobs out there. And so it's important that people see, as Mr. McLaughlin indicated, an effort to empower themselves, so that we are not waiting for someone else to save our community, where we can save our community from within. Significant, Mr. Mayor?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're not waiting on Superman. I mean, there are so many challenges facing the community, and it's not just here, it's across America, and it's across the world. The solutions, I think, will lie in what we're willing to do to make this city in the Midlands and the state better.
You know, it's important to recognize what happens in the community when there is no work, and then it seems to breed normal work.
Well, we see what happens in the line of work that all of us are in. We see the bad end of this. We see young people getting involved in crime, getting involved in theft and things like that, and you don't want to see that. Young people younger than teenage years even sometimes get involved in this kind of thing. So that's why it's so important that we're talking about this and making sure there are those avenues for youngsters to get involved.
Speaking of getting involved, we're going to go to break now. We're going to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being with us. Ask you to stay, Mr. McLaughlin, because we would like for our audience to meet some of the individuals that are actually, that have gone through the jobs program through the Urban League, and those that are working in it. So you guys stay tuned, and thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for being with us on Point on Watch. Stay tuned, you guys.
You're watching On Point on Watchbox with Cynthia Hardy on Columbia's own Watchbox.
Welcome back to On Point on Watchbox. Brian McConkie and I are talking today about the importance of teen employment in South Carolina, recognizing that our state is #2 in the nation in unemployment, and trying to get information out there to people to let them know that there are things that they can do to sponsor kids for employment, especially through programs like the Urban League.
It's not only about the work aspect of it, it's what can happen when they're not at work, where they can fall into all the wrong things that we don't like talking about, but unfortunately are part of our reality.
Absolutely. So. And the fortunate thing about it is we have examples of what happens when it works. Ashley V., everybody knows you as a very popular children's author, the author of your books, Tori Finds Shapes All Around, Tori Explores South Carolina, what's the other? Tori Finds Colors All Around. Yes. Beautiful, and you do a really good job with that. When you were 12 years old, you started out with the Urban League.
My first job through the Urban League, and you were actually one of the coordinators at the time that helped me get employment with Vision Magazine and Leisure Fun with Cynthia Leggett Davis.
And so you've talked to me on many times about the significance of that experience with the Urban League and what it has meant. You're now a doctoral student.
Yes, at the University of South Carolina.
And you'll be getting your doctor's degree, your PhD very soon. You're an educator in addition to being an author. And to hear you talk about the significance of your childhood and how important the Urban League was in it really makes me feel good.
Yes.
So I'd like to hear you do that a little bit.
Well, it was just a wonderful experience. What happens a lot of the times when students matriculate into middle schools, there aren't as many camps available for them to participate in during the summer. And so they want things to be a part of, they want things to do, they want things to be to participate with. And for me, I was frustrated at that point in time because I was looking for things to do. And thankfully, my mother learned of this program, and I applied, and I was hired that first summer, and it was phenomenal. That next summer, I was ready to apply again, and I was actually sad that it was only a month. I wanted it to last just a little bit longer because our summer months, spanned from May to August. But I really enjoyed it. They had our orientation. They prepared us for the workforce. They gave us a lot of different tips that, for me, lasted even till now. I used it to gain employment. Once I finished the Urban League, that third summer, I used it to gain employment successfully at Best Buy. I worked there at the age of 16. I was the youngest employee there, and one of the things they said was that I learned a lot through my experience with the Urban League that transferred over, and it honed my skills for that position. And then it also prepared me for Hayward Career and Technology Center, where I was a marketing student. I majored in their marketing program there and gained a state office position. So it helped me more than just employment. It helped me with my communication skills, my work ethics. It even helped me transfer into the academic school year and improved my grades, and it gave me the responsibility that I needed to be a better student and a better citizen.
Well, you can see why I was warmed when she started talking. I hadn't shared necessarily with our viewers that I worked for a long time with Mr. McLaughlin at the Urban League, and a big part of what we did was youth programming, and just to hear Ashley B talk about the significance of that work experience, I think is something that I want employers to know, because when you make an investment like the $600 that I mentioned for a month's worth of work for a student, it is exponential.
It's invaluable, and I didn't have anything to do with the process like you did, but it's impressive to me to hear this, and we need to hear more stories like this. That is clear, but the problem is we don't hear enough of them. So how do we make those inroads to the right people to make sure that they're getting the message that we've got to get kids on the right path and give them these skills that Ashley has got such a handle on?
We also have shared with people some research. Dr. Valenti did a 40-year longitudinal study when he was at Harvard University on what do we need to do for young children to help them to become successful. And he looked at factors of many different situations. And what he concluded in this study, that work experience was one of the most powerful intervention strategy that one could implement that would have the positive influence on the outcome of young people. Because when they followed these young people over a 40-year period of time, they found that those who worked more were less likely to be mentally ill, incarcerated, unemployed. They even had better relationships with the family and with their children. They contributed more to the community. So when you look at work experience transform people. And the study pointed out that if you can start early on, it's going to have some very, very powerful impact over the long term.
That study by George Valenti is one of the things that I often think about, because I'm familiar with it too. I often think about it, Brian, when I see the numbers of young people that are incarcerated, and the number of young people that fail school, and the number of young people that are falling into some of the social ills, and I realize that they only had a job. If they only had a job.
It may have helped. It may not help everybody, but it helps a good portion of us.
You certainly have a better opportunity if you do. And the last comment from you before we go to break?
Well, for me, I'll just say it was an investment, and the skills that I learned there, it helped me get assistantships for undergrad, grad school, and even today I have a full-time assistantship working for the University of South Carolina, paying for my education. So those skills last and take you a long way.
Can't take those away.
Ashley is our testimony.
Yes.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Ms. McLaughlin. When we come back, we're going to introduce you to Michelle Daniels, who's the coordinator of the Summer Work Experience Leadership Program. We'll have a few minutes to talk to her when we come back. You guys stay tuned.
You're watching On Point on WatchBox with Cynthia Hardy on Columbia's own WatchBox.
Welcome back to On Point on WatchBox. Brian and I are talking about teen employment in South Carolina. Michelle Davis is a college student who has worked at the Urban League in their youth program. She was so good, Brian. They promoted her, and now she coordinates the program.
Another success story.
Another success story.
This is good.
Yeah, she goes to Winthrop, and when she's not studying, she's the full-time coordinator of the summer jobs program, which is a really, really big job.
All right, so you're still in school at the moment.
I am. I'm a junior.
You are? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So another success story for you to tell everybody about. But why was this so valuable for you that you've been able to progress so quickly?
Okay.
Still being a student.
I was a participant in the program. Yeah. And so I came through the program, and I think it was that first step that gave you that confidence. You know, you needed to know that, or I needed to know that I could do this regardless of what situation I was put in. I was going to be able to be successful. And I learned how to communicate effectively. I learned those interpersonal skills. I learned that whatever situation I'm placed in, I will be successful. And a lot of people don't have that confidence, you know, and you get it from that first job experience. And I think that's really important. Without that first job experience, you don't get those skills. You don't get that opportunity to have that confidence.
Sure. Yeah. Mr. McLaughlin, there are businesses that are out there, individuals like myself that are out there that have the ability to sponsor someone this summer. What would you say to them?
Well, I'd like to ask them to make it an investment in our future. Our children are our future. And you can make that investment several ways. You can probably offer an opportunity in your work environment if you have that availability. If not, you can make a donation to the Urban League and sponsor a young person. As you indicated, for about $600, you can sponsor someone for 4 weeks. And during that period of time, $550 that you put in will be returned to the individual.
That's awesome.
And that's a contribution to the Urban League. We're a 501c3 organization to help our community. Many persons have gone to some of their business acquaintance, whether it's their insurance agent, whether it's their physician, whether it's their mechanic, others they know in the community, say, hey, you know what? Invest in our children. We need to get the people to get the word around. We had over 1,000 applications for our Summer Work Experience Leadership Program, which is SWELP, that Ashley talked about and Michelle talked about a few minutes ago. We're only going to be able to place 250 kids. We have another 250 kids in another program, and primarily these are foster care children and children who are economically disadvantaged. And then we have a camp for kids 10, 11, 12, and 13. We can't put kids in jobs anymore unless you're at least 14 years of age.
I know. Back in the day, though, at 12 years old, I guess we kind of stole that.
Yes, we did, but we reminded that there's child labor laws. So 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old kids are in camps that we have. And the camp is really staffed with high school seniors, high school graduates, college students, good role models for these young people. Because many of these young people in camp come out of communities where no one finished high school or no one goes to college. And so they have these persons there. And plus the camp is an empowerment camp. We'll be talking about science, technology. We're talking about other careers. We're talking about interpersonal skills. We're talking about healthy lifestyles. So
that's what you do for 10, 11, and 12
10, 11, 12, 13.
When they get 14, they go see Michelle.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, and then you try to place them. As Mr. McLaughlin indicated, 250 jobs, but you could serve a lot more kids if you had more resources.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, they can call the Urban League for more information. We're at 803-799-8150. Call the Urban League and make a difference. Make an investment in our future. And we really enjoyed having young people like Michelle and others working in the program. I mean, she's representative of the young people we have, because young people have so much to give back to our community. We need to utilize them. We need to respect their talent. And of course, if I ever have a problem with technology, I go to a young person. They know how to do it.
Michelle, the last word's yours.
I just think it's an amazing opportunity. I'd love to get more sponsors, more job sites, just anybody. Any help we could get would be really great.
Thank you guys so much.
I would imagine, too, even as a college student, you would think that a lot of people have developed a lot of these personal skills we're talking about.
Yeah,
you probably see it every day, folks that are in your classes even, maybe aren't as socially advanced as others.
Yeah,
I bet you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, James C. McLaughlin Jr. and Michelle Daniels. Thank you so very, very much. And it was great having Ashley V here, and it certainly was great having
the mayor here. Yes, it was always good to have her here.
Well, guys, that's it for this edition of On Point on WatchBox. Remember, though, you guys, if you all can sponsor a student, do that through the Urban League. Please send your comments and suggestions to onpointwithcynthia.com. Go to Radio Talk on Twitter. I want people to follow me there. I'm kind of getting into Twitter there.
Yeah, you are. A lot more lately, let me tell you. You better follow her.
We do continue to believe when you're informed, you're empowered. And once empowered, you are on point. You guys, we'll see you next week.